Good evening and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. I have with us our good friend Randy. This is the Mike and Randy show. And of course, tonight we'll be discussing what? Bolt action. But before we get too deep into this, of course, be sure to smash that like button, give us a share, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and pass this around to your friends in your social media groups. Help us recruit and grow the Gator tribe there. Tonight we are going to be comparing army lists that were built using the bolt action rulebook and the Armies of the United States. So obviously it's going to be American armies. Randy and I just we're having a discussion of with the British book coming out. Uh, Randy being the great Gurkha guy. Well, tell us about the British conundrum, and then we'll swing back into why we went with the Americans, Randy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a little upset that they're saying that the Gurkhas are not in the armies of Great Britain when they're in the core book. And a lot of people are saying, oh, you can't play Gurkhas anymore. But if they're in the core book, you should still be able to play them. And, I've even reached out to a Warlord rep, and I haven't gotten an official email back about it, but I did get a message on Messenger that you should still be able to play them until the Commonwealth book comes out. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean,
Sure. Yeah. So here's and it's always been this way. It was this way in version two for sure. The army
yeah.
books are out there. They give you a lot more depth um, to the national forces. But for the big, what, five? United
So
States,
yeah.
Germany,
So the
Japan, Soviet Union. For the big five, you can always draw from the core rule book.
well the and the armies of were always inclusive, not exclusive. You know, they didn't eliminate units from your core book. They added two units from your core book.
Yeah, I see your point there.
And,
Yeah,
and they might have given you a few extra special rules. They might have changed some of the rules about the units, but they never took them
sure.
away.
So the
Sorry, I love my
challenge,
Gurkhas.
I
They're
know. So the
lovingly
challenge
painted. I mean,
when you go to run British, um, the British book is not going to be as useful to you because you won't be able to field your Gurkhas if you're building a British Army book. And for those who uh, don't play a lot of bolt action, or if you're new to bolt action, you will usually build a list out of one book or the other. Flames of War follows a similar mechanic. I'm sure Warhammer 40K does that. You can't mix and match. For example, and this is the chuckle why everybody's been poking Randy is you can't take a Gurkha squad from the core rule book and dump it into a force you're building out of the Armies of book. So we got to talking about that, and I said, Randy, why don't you take the Armies of the United States, take 1,250 points, and build basically the same force using the two different rule books. And so that's what we're going to walk through tonight. And Randy,
yeah.
thank you so much. We originally did 3 army lists, but as I was putting this together, because Randy did a third, and that's an optimized Armies of the United States, and
Yeah.
we'll bring that one back later, maybe when we'll review that one alongside his Moxie list that he's going to be running this coming weekend. He's going to go represent the Savannah Garrison again at a tournament in where's that, Douglas, Georgia, right?
It's in Columbus.
Columbus. Okay, Columbus,
Yeah.
Georgia. Okay, well, fantastic. So let's get this show on the road. Again, we're comparing the bolt action rulebook British or Americans to the Armies of the United States. Here we go. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit. And now, Randy, again, I really like that you use the same army builder for both.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I know you have the app, and I'll tell you the Easy Army is a lot easier to cut and paste, but also sometimes Easy Army has a couple does things a little different, but this way we're literally comparing from the same data set. So walk us through this thing. So here it is, your classic Randy Randy Yan U.S. Army Rifle Platoon version 3 bolt action rule book.
Yeah. So using this book, now normally I would run inexperienced officers, but trying to compare with the armies of, I went ahead and built the maximum 3-man regular headquarters unit. Obviously, they'll all have submachine guns because they're free in the core book.
Right.
So that's a nice little assault unit. I've actually run this before when version 3 first came out. Mike hosted a small game, and I brought a couple squads of Rangers and a 3-man headquarters unit. Unfortunately, I found out that 3-man units die very easily in version 3,
Yes.
especially at regular. Probably should have made him veteran.
See, and I always like to make my
So,
officers veteran, but I usually only take one or two. So there we go. Okay.
yeah.
Ranger squads there.
Yeah. So typical 8-man optimal size for Rangers. All rifles. Why? Because the Americans have fire and maneuver. So every 3 rifles, they get a bonus shot. So this squad will fire 11 shots. No, they get 2 extra. I needed one more, but it's hard to
10.
put 9 men. No,
10
3.
shots.
So for every,
10 shots. Eight.
yeah, so
Eight
they'll
guys
get
plus
10
2.
here.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'd have been able to put one more guy in here, then they would have gotten 12 shots.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
but anyway,
Didn't quite fit. Okay, that's
so
an interesting
yeah,
observation. All right.
so and I believe in running at least 3 squads of Rangers because otherwise they are pushing up unsupported and they usually get shot to pieces. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, overlap and support in this game is so important. What you don't you never want to let a unit get caught in a crossfire in any range combat game, but you absolutely don't want to get caught in a crossfire in bolt action. Your unit will disintegrate like a dirt clod in a rainstorm. I mean, yeah, and
yeah, so
wow.
what you can do with 3 squads like this is you can put 1 squad on ambush and push 2 squads up.
Hmm. Okay. So if anybody tries to maneuver on them, the guys in ambush can lay down some fire.
Yep, at least put a pin on them so then they're now hitting on 6s instead of 5s. So
Excellent. Excellent.
yeah,
Okay. Fire, fire maneuver. That's the key. All right. And
yeah.
then you got the you got the you got the butterfly company
Inexperienced
commander.
mate. I got a major's fresh out of OCS.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's pretty good. There we
Yeah,
go. All right. Now and yeah, and of course he can have any weapon, so that's kind of cool.
yeah.
All right.
So of course he's got a submachine.
Right.
Bazooka team, regular bazooka team, and I believe I have a Jeep for this down in the
You
list.
do?
You can see that, and
Yep.
so that's to move it up. And we'll highlight the differences in the Armies of when we get to it about
Now I
that.
notice you again a regular bazooka team, not a veteran. They're not going to last long once they start taking fire.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, the Jeep is there to protect them until it makes them a
Yeah.
super veteran until
Right.
they get out. And then hopefully you've eliminated the threat and
Right.
it's at the end of the turn. So maybe the next turn you can get away. But
So
so
who's riding around in the white scout car can carry 8 people?
that is the company commander's personal ride. He wants to have armor around him. And it's regular because he's
Right.
inexperienced. So I don't want the HMG shooting at inexperienced. So I made it regular.
Okay. All right. So not only can
Two,
it carry him around, it can also provide firepower support, and that's
yeah.
important.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got 2 light mortars. So there's another thing that's going to be different. Only 20 points. So they're a little cheaper than everybody else's. Why? I don't know. Why
Hmm.
do the Americans light mortars 20 and everybody else is 21? Doesn't make sense. But
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay.
yeah.
Weaker HE maybe 1-inch HE versus 2. I don't know.
It's the
Okay.
same. The only ones that really should be cheaper is the German ones because they can't lay down smoke.
Yeah.
They
Our
should
Germans
be
got their
20.
brakes already. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but I'm not going to cry for the Germans. They got so many good rules. That's sorry. Sorry for your luck.
All right. So here's our platoon number 2.
Heavy weapons. So got some mortars here.
Yeah.
Got a lieutenant, and then 2 medium mortars with spotters,
Okay.
and then a heavy machine gun team because Americans, it's so good. It's just the range it allows you to stay out of range of even an LMG and shoot
Right.
back at them. So
Right.
really good.
Right. And it's 4 men, so it can take a little bit more pounding before it's
Yeah.
rendered inactive. Now, John Ross was saying we did an interview with him. He was saying that at the World Team Championships, there weren't. I think he said there were no foot machine gun teams. That
Really?
nobody
That's
there. Yeah.
surprising.
That and I know there's always been a machine gun teams in bolt action always have been criticized, and a lot of folks will say they're not worth the points. I say they're like every other weapon system. You just got to use them right. Now, your little twin gun Vickers tank is, I think, 60 points and rolls as many dice and is armored. So I
And
can
it's
kind of
armored.
yeah, I can kind of see a point to that. But
So yeah, my take on these machine gun teams is if Warlord wanted to fix them. Now, a heavy machine gun team, I can see that you couldn't move and fire because it's quite an operation. It's a big gun, it's
yeah,
a big tripod. But a medium machine gun team, these guys should be able to move and fire and take a penalty. Just normal -1. They should be able to move and shoot, and that would
well,
make the machine
I
gun
will
team
tell you,
much better.
in most systems, the light machine gun is the one that moves and shoots. The differences on mediums, depending on who you talk to, is either a difference of caliber, heavy versus medium, or a
Well,
difference in that case the Americans, or a difference in the amount of ammunition that's available. Excuse me.
yeah, it's also the light machine gun is usually either just carried by hand or it has a bipod, whereas a medium machine gun has a tripod.
Right.
So a
Right.
little harder to set up, but
Yeah.
still it's the same gun. So if you look
Yeah.
at the light machine gun in the Germans and the medium machine gun, it's the same gun. It's just a
Yep.
different
Rate of
support.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rate of fire on that thing when it's on a tripod with spare barrels and plenty of ammo is obscene. And so that's where
Okay.
that difference. But again, that's a fairly fixed position. But while we're
Yeah.
talking fixing, if I were going to fix the machine guns, um, I'd just give them more shots. I think the heavy, the U.S. heavy might be about right. I might add 2 more, but I
Yeah,
would
because
just
it's a slower firing gun than the medium by
right.
far.
But I would double the firepower on the lights and mediums, easy. And again, if you go back to my favorite rule set, squad leader,
Yeah.
um, the light machine gun in squad leader has the same firepower as a half squad, so that's 5 guys. So 5 may not be bad. It's got a firepower of 3, which is usually like 5 guys. So that means the light machine gun in bolt action is rolling 4 to 5 dice. They should all be 5, with maybe the Germans being 6. Now the medium machine gun in squad leader has the same firepower as a full squad, and that's where I'm saying the medium should have a firepower somewhere around 10. And I think you'd see the mediums be a lot more effective, and then your heavy. Um,
Yeah.
God, the American heavy has the same firepower as 2 squads, but I still think the 8 dice with the +1 pin would probably put him in the ballpark. So that would
You'd
be
have
my
to raise the cost. They'd have to be more
um,
expensive because that would just be murder to give somebody 10 shots at 36-inch range for
oh
only
yeah,
50 points.
yeah.
Um,
But they're vulnerable to mortars, they're vulnerable to smoke, vulnerable to snipers. Um, you probably push the points up a bit more. I don't know that I would double them, but maybe add another 20 or 30 points. But that would definitely make your medium machine guns and your heavies just a lot more effective. and then allow the mediums to engage multiple targets. And so if you did that, your machine guns would really start to show and shine like they did like they actually do on the battlefield. So that's my 2 cents while we're picking at rules.
Yeah, the other thing that I think would probably work, and guys have done it competent, is giving it an extra pin, a pin just for firing at them, even if you don't hit.
Right.
Because just being sprayed down by a machine gun team is going to make you poke your head down.
Sure. I know
I mean,
John Ross did that one year at one of his tournaments.
yeah.
So yeah, that's not bad. I think artillery automatically puts pins on your whole HE thing. So all right.
No, you still have to. Well, yeah, you still have to roll for them, and it's multiple pins. So
Yeah.
maybe a D3 pin for them, just
Or
like
plus one pin. If you
AT
get hit by a machine, if you take
or
hits from a
D2.
machine, you
How
could do a
about
D2.
D2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. D2 pins. You either take 1 or 2 pins if the machine gun hits you. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. That actually makes the most sense. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about your armor here, bro.
Armor here. All right. So, wanting to also highlight differences in the core and armies of, we have a Hellcat, which, if Mike remembers, that's what I used to run when I ran my Rangers in the first
Oh
days of
yeah.
my bolt action. I had a Hellcat and had an M15 that I built, a
Oh.
multi-gun motor carriage.
Yeah.
It was quite a combination. It really worked good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I
So
think
here
I think
there's no recce.
I was gonna say your Hellcat. I think usually took your recce slot, but this one does not have recce. Very
No,
interesting.
you can add it, but I chose not to, and I
Okay.
have a reason why I don't put recce on, especially a heavy anti-tank gun, because of the
Right.
range of the heavy anti-tank gun. I want to be at the edge of the board,
All
and I want
right.
to be shooting out and forcing the other tanks to have to shoot at long range.
Right.
Um, So if I'm recce, that means it can, if it's and it's open top, if you get pinned and it fails a order test, it's going to move back a full 9 inches, which means it's going off the board.
Bye bye.
But if it's not recce, then you're only looking at 4.5 inches, and that's easy to just push up. So I guess the biggest difference here, all right, if you look at the math, all right, I've got a recce tank and I want to shoot first turn. So if I advance onto the board, I'm coming on 9 inches, right?
Right.
Or less. Um, and then if I get pinned and I fail an order test, I'm going back that 9 inches and
Okay.
it's off the board. But so that means if it's not recce, then I can come on 7, 8 inches and shoot and I'm fine if I fail an
Mm-hmm.
order test.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, in order to protect this thing, I'd have to run onto the board and not be able to shoot first round in order to
Okay.
make sure I'm far enough away from the edge that I don't run off.
Yeah.
And especially with this open top, you got a couple rifles could pop shots at it and throw a couple pins on it, and now you're in trouble unless the company
Right.
commander's standing nearby.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what, and that's one thing I think they absolutely really got right in V3 is leaders are so much more effective, and we can talk about that
Mm-hmm.
more when we look at the Armies of book maybe. But yeah, leaders matter a lot, and the winning players know how to use their leaders to get the most out of their men. Really made really made the command teams worth something, not just okay. You got to have a command team. No, 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 no. You want that command team. You want them up engaged. You want them helping push your troops forward, and that's as it should be. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And so it gets a command tank rule. So
Okay.
um, it gets a bonus even if there's not an officer around to help it pass orders. And
Yeah.
and being an open tank destroyer, you would expect that to be a command vehicle.
In this list, certainly. Yeah.
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 And the next one is a Chaffee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's all good all around tank, really, other than the fact that it's vulnerable and there's no way to get rid of it. That's the only thing that really sucks about it. But medium anti-tank gun, 2-inch HE.
Wow.
It's got a hull machine gun and a coax, so pretty good little tank.
Yeah, good little medium. Actually, a medium tank by armor class. Huh. Pretty cool. All right.
Yeah. And then
Boy,
so here we have
Chopper.
the M16. So I used to run the M15, but I brought the M16 because it is an infantry destroyer. I mean, we're talking a lot of shots of +1
Yeah.
penetration, all the way out to 48 inches. It doesn't. It's just going to eat up a squad of infantry.
Yeah. 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 Wow, that's just nasty.
Yeah.
360. Yeah, there's everything to hate about that. And then
Now,
24, somebody decides they want to bring an airplane on.
oh yeah, there's no airplanes coming in with this thing. Um, nah,
Quad
forget it.
50s. What do
And
you
you
say?
notice there's no air observer in this list either because I don't take a chance of shooting my own plane down.
Sure, sure. Well,
Yeah.
air offboard artillery, I tend to stay away from both those because they rely on what die rolls, and there's a reason y'all call
Hmm.
me Bad Dice Baker. You know, my luck,
Yeah.
I would get the air like third turn, and it would jump on one of my units and totally wreck my plan. So now I'll take something that's a little bit more reliable. So I hear you. Okay, so that's it for the bolt action rulebook army list. And again, um, if you're new to bolt action, you can have a lot of fun just with the stuff out of this rulebook. And that's one of the things really that has always attracted me to bolt action, specifically, but pretty much most of the Warlord games is there. You get at least at least two factions. I know Conflict 47 has the same layout as far as multiple nations. Black Powder, they show you different nations. So there's a lot of value just in the basic rule book, and that's a huge driver. And Randy, you know this. I'm always looking for ways that we can take something and get gamers just a lot of value. So the core rule book brings you a lot of value, even if it is a little bit more vanilla than say the Armies of book. So now we're going to take
Yeah.
a look at the army list based on the armies of.
Yep. All right.
So
So,
go ahead. Yeah.
and so the biggest change here starting off is now you can add a lot of dudes to your headquarters unit.
So basically turn that
And
into another squad, and they're veteran.
yeah, they are veteran.
Okay.
And so now you have to pay for weapons, which kind of hurts a little bit. But I have what, 3 submachine guns in this list
Yep.
in this squad.
Yeah.
And you've noticed you're allowed to add Rangers lead the way. So now I actually have a Ranger headquarters unit,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a
So
little expensive, but it makes a unit that's basically useless. Actually, they can push up 12 inches with the rest of the Rangers. So, you know,
and
that's
and I
really
think
good.
that's something we're seeing in all the armies of books is, and that's one of the biggest differences right out of the box between the core book and the armies of books is you can actually make your officers part of the units that they're leading, not just a plug-in command point. So that's excellent and good use there, Randy. I'm sure I'll face this
Yeah.
thing at some point with my beleaguered Fallschirmjägers. So
Yeah.
so
So, yep. Once again, we got 3 squads of Rangers, just like
okay,
in the other list.
a
And
little
of course,
smaller
they're going
this
to get,
time though, right?
yeah, the 7-man. So I had to shave a few points
Right,
to make everything fit. But 7's okay because you're still getting for every 6 or for every 3 you get an extra shot. So you're still getting 2 more shots.
that's right,
Gives you 1 extra for a casualty, and then still maintain that bonus
right.
you start losing them. But yeah,
And they're veterans, so 5+ to wound. And if
yep,
you got him in cover, that helps. So okay, cool.
yep. All right, company commander. So now
Oh
we
my,
got an inexperienced company commander. And so if you'll notice, this company commander is 1 point cheaper than the one in the core book. And why is that? Because he now has a pistol, which allows me to give him a 1 point discount. I mean, if
What I
he's
like,
not going to be doing anything other than morale, why does he need a weapon?
oh my gosh. And of course, it's got to be a pearl handle pistol because,
Oh,
everybody's going to
yeah.
use that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is too funny. Oh my gosh. All right.
All right.
Hey, there's
Another
that bazooka team.
Now, why is this bazooka team veteran? Because I can give them Rangers lead the way. I can turn it
Okay.
into a Ranger bazooka team, which means they
Got it.
also get to run up 12 inches.
Yeah.
Uh, and there is no Jeep in this list. And why is that? Because the bazooka is going to be able to push up anyway. So why do I need the Jeep?
Got it. And it
And they're veteran.
looks like I cut off the points on this one when I brought it over. Oops.
So it is normally veteran 78, but you pay a point per man for the Ranger rule. So it's
So
actually
80.
80 points. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And being veteran, it'll be able to take a little fire being out in the
Mm-hmm.
open. Ideally
Yeah.
you want to be in some cover when you shoot.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the points are cut off on the mortar team. All right. So another difference here is the light mortar team. They are actually, I think, 30 points a piece.
Hang on just a minute. I can tell you. Come on. There we go. Light mortar team, 25.
25. Okay. So they're more than 20, but they have
Right.
3 men now. And the only way
Yeah.
to make them 2 man is to make them airborne, I think, paratroopers. And then, of course, they have to be veteran, which pushes their points cost up over 30 then. So,
Okay.
but but honestly, that's not bad because now I have a 3 man unit that if I take a casualty, I don't have to make a morale check
Right.
for only 5 more points. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'll do that all day long.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because that two-man unit, inexperience takes a casualty. Their morale's 9, drops to 8 because you're going to have a pin. And so you got to roll, 8 or less to pass. And I've seen people, fail that all day long. So yeah.
And they can still move and fire.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things about light mortars that I think I didn't learn until version 3. Light mortars can move and shoot. That's probably one of their biggest
Yeah.
advantages. So, they can move up, put you in, put you in line of fire. Pardon the dog's foot. One of the advantages of being in. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I like these light mortars. I run
yeah,
them in all my British lists, and I wish I could take 3 man light mortars in British, but you can't
yeah,
do it.
yeah. They're awesome. And there's that white scout car again.
Yep. So now it's inexperienced,
Right.
um, and I think this was merely a points thing because I spent so many points in the headquarters unit
Right.
uh, and the bazooka team that you have to make cuts somewhere. So
Okay.
this is still the ride for the company commanders. So that's okay. It'll be
Right.
shooting at a -1, but
Right. And the thing is, when they check morale, they'll check with his morale.
oh
Okay.
yeah, with the +4, it's
Oh, yeah, they ain't going
yeah,
nowhere.
no.
Okay. Excellent.
So back to the armored platoon. Here we have the Hellcat again, and a new rule for the Hellcat. It is fast,
Fast.
which means it
Yeah.
moves at 12 and 24 now.
So you still don't want it to be Reki.
No, absolutely not, because it is going away. I mean, yeah.
Right.
And if you
Right.
foobar, it can be really
Wow.
bad. Foobar means they're
Yes.
moving at 24 inches somewhere off the board.
Yeah. Yikes.
But the fast
Yikes.
rule, I don't know that the fast rule helps the Hellcat much at all. It's kind of cool, if you're trying to outflank some enemy tanks, but it's already a +7 gun. Why do you want to, or +6? Why would you want to do anything more than sit and shoot?
Well, those the big cats are starting to make some appearances on the table again.
Yeah.
And historically, the American tank destroyers, that was their doctrine. They were not
Hmm.
intended. You had literally two competing doctrines between the Germans and the Americans, and to a lesser extent the Soviets. Soviets and Germans went with pretty heavy armor on the nose, low silhouette ambush weapon.
Yeah.
Americans went with fast moving, still an ambush weapon, I guess, but really more looking to turn your flank and make you have to react to them, or ideally get a flank shot on your big cats and take some of those out. So I'm
Shoot and
glad.
scoot.
Right. I'm glad they added that fast rule in. I think it better reflects exactly what those tank destroyers are. And
Yeah.
have you looked at what's the other one? The M10. It should also be fast as well. I haven't looked at it.
It is not. Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
It's a bigger tank, and that's probably why, even
Okay.
though it's, they took a lot of stuff off of it. But
Mhm.
of course, you're paying 10 more points for this fast rule.
Right.
But
Nothing's free.
I mean, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. And that's your command vehicle again.
Yep, yep. And mainly just because I want that bonus in case I don't have an officer nearby. In case
Sure.
it will get pinned. They will shoot at it. Especially light machine guns. They'll shoot at it across the board and throw pins
Oh
down
gosh,
on it.
yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Any of these open top, especially a heavy open top and a tank vehicle, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna come after that thing big time. Yeah.
Now this next tank is one that really shines in the Armies of book, and that's the Chaffee.
Really?
Yes. So it is fast as well.
Don't see it on there.
It
I'll
is
take your
though.
word for it. Okay.
Why is it not on there? That's odd. I think that's an easy army error because it is. Let me look. I got Armies of book right here.
Which would make it 180 then.
No, it's 170 is because it's 160 in the other book.
Yeah, okay, that's right. 160. Yeah. Goes to
Where
170.
is the light
Turret
tank?
man and a tank gun.
That's all the way at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Chaffee. Yeah, it's right here. Fast.
So
It's
just
in the
a just
book.
a point to everybody, and I'll make sure I remind I'll remind the people bringing their lists that check your if you're using Easy Army, and I do.
You always
Just
double check Easy Army.
yeah,
Yeah.
double check it against the rules. Make sure it's picking up because they, to their credit, they picked up the points to 170,
Hmm.
which for most people that's the biggest thing. What you don't want is a you don't want a new Chaffee with 160 points. That'd be like oops. But what it's
Yeah.
not, what it doesn't have written in is the fast. Now, if I were using
Yeah.
this army list, I would go ahead and put fast and put the page number that it's on. So if your opponent has a question, you can turn immediately to the reference card and say, "Oh yeah, there it is."
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
good,
make
good,
sure you buy the Armies of book from Mike so that you have it on hand when you're at the tournament.
absolutely. That's right. And I sell it at discount. So there you go. Hey, that's our
Yeah.
first commercial. That's not too bad.
Eh. All right.
So,
So, yeah, the reason this is such a great rule is because this is an enclosed tank. It's not going to get pinned by small arms fire.
mm,
It is vulnerable, but it can move so far. It can
hmm
flank tanks and get a shot in with this medium AT gun. Um, and then the
yeah.
biggest thing is it can assault at 24 inches away. So if you have an artillery unit, you have a soft skin, you have a squad of infantry anywhere near this thing, watch out.
Not so near. That's halfway across the
No,
board.
it is.
It's
I
like,
mean, this
hello.
is, yeah, yeah. If
Wow.
I've got one of these in my list if I'm running Americans, that's for sure.
I'm gonna have to get one
I,
because I can see the
I would
value.
I would probably not bring the Hellcat in my own personal list, but we had it here just to highlight the changes in the Hellcat, which are pretty cool. But
Yeah,
yeah,
very cool. Okay.
yeah. So here's the M16 again. No changes to it. It's pretty much the same as it was in the core book.
The chopper. Yep.
Yeah, meat chopper.
Hmm.
And mortars. Okay, now another change. Um, we have the platoon commander with his pistol,
Pink,
20
pink.
points. 20 points. What a discount. I like it.
Oh my
The
gosh.
medium mortar teams, they are no longer regular and no spotter. Why? Because now instead of, I think, 36 points, they're 32 points.
Okay.
So it's enough of a discount to say, okay, well, plus I've spent points up in the top of the list that I
Hmm.
just didn't have. So yeah, they have to have line of sight now. But 60 inches away, that's not too bad. You just have to make sure you have line of sight, and they're cheaper. I
Okay.
I could see spamming these 4 or 5 of them if you wanted to. Just
And
have mortars everywhere.
60 inches is all the way across the board. Most boards are 48
Yeah,
inches. And a good way, diagonally across the board. So I see
yeah.
your point on
Mm-hmm.
that. And to your point, you outrange that infamous heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the some of the autocannons can reach you, and definitely most of the tank guns
Yeah.
can. But if they're firing
Well,
on wood,
the
even something
the
else
light
there.
auto cannon can't. Light auto cannon's
Right,
48, so
right,
it'd have to
right.
be a heavy.
Yep, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so if you put them in the corners, both your corners, like if you're on a long table edge, and then just
Hmm.
like you say, diagonally across, just get you a tight line of sight, and just start picking stuff off.
Yeah.
Right,
Still got to roll
especially
that.
if they got artillery, you can range in
Yeah.
on their artillery.
One thing I'll say about mortars, any of the indirect things, the machine guns are nasty, but mortars can make them shift. And
Yeah,
so, your friend runs up and drops that heavy machine gun team down. You start dropping mortar rounds on him. He's going to have to really, check his pucker factor. That gun's not going to stay there more than at most one, 2 turns. After that, they're really looking to get just
they got to move.
obliterated.
Yeah,
Right.
especially with a 2-inch HE, they're gonna get all their dudes are gonna get hit.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And the heavy machine gun, as you could see, was back in the list. So
Yeah. I kept the HMG there as a regular. I think
yeah,
it was a regular in the other one as well. Okay.
yeah,
So, well, I kind of stepped in here and ran an analysis on this thing.
okay.
I cheated. I used Chat GPT. So I used AI to
Yeah,
to kind of give it a rundown, and then I kind of give it a quick look, and looked like he got it he got it right. So excuse me. Both lists are 1250.
hmm,
Both have the 3 platoons with rifle, heavy weapons, and armored rangers, mortars, bazookas, the Chaffee, the Hellcat, and the M16. And that was on purpose. We actually wanted to compare those right across the list.
yeah,
Special rules, fire and maneuver, gyro stabilizers, air superiority, modern comms. So that's something you're going to see. Excuse me. Either way that you go there. Um, and then all right. So here was kind of the point of the exercise. What were the key differences? And we've spotted a few of them already. Randy, again, great job analyzing the two lists. Um, the V3 here refers to the V3 Armies of the United States. So reduced to 7 men per squad. Mortar teams pick up some men, and that's it. That almost kind of that you. It's kind of interesting. It's almost like you moved them from the rifle teams to the mortar teams.
yeah,
Uh, and then the officers and command units are a little bit simplified there. The mix of regulars, veterans, and inexperienced were kind of adjusted, and a slight drop in order dice from 17 to 16.
yeah,
And that just reflects, I think, an overall higher cost what you're seeing.
Yeah, especially in the HQ because you went from what 21 points to 122 points for a
Right.
headquarters.
Yeah, you
But
basically turn that headquarters into another squad.
another squad of Rangers, no less,
Yes.
with submachine guns. So they're pretty dangerous.
Capable of ruining your day.
That's what's his name? Oh God, not Dick Winters, but the other guy. Um,
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. So I got a question. Why didn't you include flamethrowers with either one of these? Because the Rangers can take flamethrowers.
I don't think you can add a flamethrower. You have to have an engineer platoon.
Okay. I
Yeah,
must be thinking V2 because I remember in V2 Rangers could take flamethrowers because
yeah.
the Rangers
There's
can take any flamethrowers. Yeah.
one of the units. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's Rangers can take light mortars. They can add light mortars in the squad.
Yes, I thought that was very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Now
oh,
it's not as good as the Japanese because Japanese can have 3 light mortars in a squad.
that's just awesome. That's how you do it. That's your whole. There's your
Yeah.
firepower support unit. There are 12 guys with light mortars. Yeah, have fun.
And you take them inexperienced because why not? Because those mortars are going to fire the same no matter what.
Right. Well, your guys will take higher casualties, but to your point, wow,
But
embedded
they're
mortars, gotta love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
Again,
they had embedded stuff like bazookas
well,
because they actually had that in V2 in some units. There was embedded, shaped charge uh, firepower.
wow. Yeah, and
Um,
again, that's one of those things I've noticed right across the board in tabletop gaming. They tend to always want to break these weapons teams out as discrete units. Whereas if you look at most of your hex and counter games, like I hate to say it, squad leader, or even at a larger scale, panzer leader, those special weapons teams are embedded in the squad, and
yeah,
it gives them a lot more survivability. You're still going to spot it if you've got a squad with a bazooka. You're going to see the bazooka squad, and you're going to at least try and catch the hex that they're in. But what you don't have is this little 2-man team that can just get hammered and blown off the board. And so, yeah, I hear you.
yeah. So,
More
so I had an
stuff.
idea about that too. Of
Yeah,
course, snipers they took away the ability to pick out what unit dies or what model dies and when they hit a squad, right?
but they can still pick off
Um,
officers, right?
they take the officer, yeah. How about making it a die roll to be able to choose instead of being I'm automatically going to take the Panzerfaust guy, or I'm going to take out the guy carrying the light machine gun. How about making it okay? So he's got the wound, so he's either going to get the officer, but if he rolls 4 up, he takes out what he wants.
I could see arguments both ways for that. I've
Yeah,
always argued that knocking out the machine gunner was stupid anyway, because if
yeah.
you kill the guy with the
Well,
machine
somebody
gun,
else is going to pick
you
it
don't
up, and it's very unlikely that he's that good of a shot. He can destroy that machine gun.
right. Same thing with Panzerfaust. You're going to grab the Panzerfaust from Hans, and you're going to keep moving, or from
Yeah,
Ivan. Russians
yeah.
Russians capture the
Now,
butt toe of this
now,
thing.
now. That being said, a
Right.
flamethrower team is a totally different animal. It's very easy to
Right.
hit this big ass pack of fuel on the guy's back.
Yes.
I think a
Yes.
regular rifleman could do that.
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've heard stories that the
Uh,
other units did not like the flamethrower guys near them because if that
yeah.
tank got
Oh,
hit,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
exploded.
So that's a different breed of a person right there that's willing to carry a flamethrower.
I
I,
don't think it's volunteer. I think it's more
I have to
volunteer.
admit that if somebody said, "Here, you're going to carry this," I was like, "Go ahead and shoot me now," because I'd rather die from a bullet than burn up.
It's like you're gonna carry this like hell I am.
I mean,
Yo
seriously,
mama.
that's a horrible way to die. God,
Right. It
or at
was
least
the
give me a
only
pistol so if I get on fire, I can shoot myself in the head. Right?
it was the only weapon the Japanese really were afraid of was
Yeah,
flamethrowers. That just when they came up, that would just dig out just about any Japanese defender. They did not like them at all. Only and hey, I don't blame them. I'm with you. I can think of much better ways, cleaner ways, if you will, to go. So, all
Mm-hmm.
right, those are some of the key differences in loadouts. The vehicles, which was kind of cool here. Again, we kind of captured all that. Um, the Hellcat in version 3, again, that fast keyword. And then the Chaffee. Now, because
Yeah.
it wasn't in the list, the AI didn't pick it up,
Yeah.
but it also has an option for a gyro stabilizer, which is cool.
Yeah.
Uh, M16
And
did
that and
change.
that's not a bad, if you have the points, that's not bad to because it is fast to
Right.
give it veteran and gyro, because now you can move up a whole big bunch and still shoot and hit on a 4. You might even get into point blank by moving up 12 inches. And now you're hitting on 2s.
Well, not only that, you're gaining a penetration, I think, too, right? At point
Oh
blank,
yeah. Yeah. So
right?
now you're yeah.
Yes. Now you can go that again. That turns the Chaffee into almost a light tank destroyer, where it can run up on some of these big cats or some of the big Soviet tanks, the ISs, and do some damage. So I like it.
Oh
I like
yeah.
it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your changes in the Army book: leaner squads, at least a list built on the Army book. A few order dice, buffed mortars, faster tanks, and streamlined command. And we'll back up a bit. There we go. So, folks, that's you might want to do this same exercise for yourself when as you look over your model collection. Run that bolt action rulebook list versus the Armies of list, and when you're getting, especially if you're running a tournament, see which one's going to more suit your style of play. I mean, you can probably make arguments either way. I can pretty much guarantee you won't run into a tournament that says you have to use the Armies of. You might run into some, and you probably won't run into any that say you can't. We did that early on when Germany was the only one that was out, but now that there's
Yeah.
Germany and the United States and Great Britain's on the way, and we're going to take a look at that. You're going to have the option. One of the things I
Yeah.
do like about the new system, win, lose, or draw, is there's absolutely no question about trying to use army lists from the campaign books. The army lists officially now are the rule book or the armies of books, full stop.
Yeah.
And I know in the case of the armies of books, they took a lot of what used to be campaign rules and either dropped them or modified them and made them more general rules, and that really helps a lot. The Italians, especially, were very different between Italy and the Eastern Front Italians. Literally, two very different styles of play and two different styles of armies. So that's all. That's kind of what you're looking at as you're evaluating. What you do with armies of. Speaking of armies of, got some more news on
Yep.
Armies of Great Britain. The third edition got some new and improved units, and I'll tell you, once Armies of Great Britain drops, we'll do another overall review of the changes and new things, just like we did with the Armies of the United States. And I'm sure Randy and I are both going to pick up Armies of Britain because we've got British troops. So there you go.
Yeah.
Commando subsection. Let's all go commando. So got some, I don't know that there's a lot of changes here, other than you can of course add for king and country to like anybody to upgrade their quality.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the biggest thing that jumps out to me here is you can add a second lieutenant to your squad.
that's right. Yeah, I was looking at that and I had to do a double take. I'm like, do what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what this will really do for you, because he cannot snap to or give morale to any other units. From what I understand, it's just for that squad. Um, I mean, other than having a lieutenant always on hand, you're paying 30 points for nothing else. I don't know. Honestly, I don't get it.
Uh,
I'm, I mean, historically, that's a lot of times officers would jump in with a squad
right.
and uh, and lead them. But
I guess you get the morale bonus, but it's just +1. Gets to snap to his guys.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We'll have to see how the British British take advantage of that, and what it means for them in play.
Yeah.
So the ever fun airborne section, of course, is right there.
So this one's really good,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I've got a lot of British paratroopers, but yeah. So honestly, if we do get squashed on the Gurkhas, I will definitely be building more paratroopers. Um, so it says here, one section of paratroopers per platoon may be upgraded to Pathfinder for 1 point per model.
Yep.
So Pathfinders, right here it says you can deploy at least one unit of Pathfinders on the table before the first turn starts.
Yeah.
And I think it says you can deploy them in your deployment zone, the deployment area, basically.
Right.
They may always start on the table within the owning player's deployment area. So this is like better than Rangers Lead the Way because it's not just 12 inches in. It's like if you're in quarters, table quarters, you can go all the way up to the middle of the board with these guys.
And then, and like it, then it says any friendly paratroopers or glider troops in reserve get to re-roll failed order tests to come onto the table.
Yeah.
That's
So this opens up outflank possibilities.
big time. Big time. And especially if you've got them up near the middle of the board and they're kind of beefy and they're kind of holding a central section, and then you bring an outflank in toward the
Oh,
middle of the
here's that
side.
light mortar.
Yeah, now you're really putting pressure somewhere. That's good.
So here's the light mortar also. They can have a light mortar in the squad.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're building a paratroop unit, you're probably, and I guess you could take an additional light mortar team for support, but why would you? Just embed
Yeah.
them in the squads and call it a day. I could see taking a
So
squad here because you can have a guy be able to replace the rifle with a light machine gun too. So I can see making a squad like a heavy squad with a light machine gun and a mortar, and that
yeah,
becomes
and backline holder. So they just stay back and shoot out both the mortar and
yeah,
the machine gun. They both got
right.
36-inch range.
Yep.
But as far as the Pathfinders, so I would take a 5-man because you can have 5 submachine guns.
Yep.
So I would take a 5-man and give them Pathfinders for 5 points.
Yep.
Means that they're basically infiltrators. That means they can be up there where their submachine guns are going to reach after they move 6 inches. They're going to pretty much reach anything on the enemy side
Yeah.
on turn 1. So
Yeah.
not
That's
bad.
true. No, no, not at all. So wow. So it was just again very cool. I know there's been a lot of discussion. Randy and I, Randy's. If you follow Randy on Facebook or social media, he's been getting a lot of ribbing about the Gurkhas not being in the book. But there's a lot of things in the book that are going to give a British Army player a lot of toys to put on the table that more suits your style of play. And I know so many of the scenarios, and even if you're playing a one-off game, that Pathfinder and the ability to get your guys on the table deployed is going to be huge. Of course, they run the flip side of becoming shot magnets, and you've got to kind of weigh
Mm-hmm.
that. And then they've got of course, the armor is getting a lot of talk here. The cruiser, the comic best tank. One source said
So
the Comet was the best British tank of the war.
all right. So yeah, we have NASA has reported a near Earth object that's due to strike Sunday in the Columbus area. There's a comet that is coming.
Oh my gosh, scared the heck out of me, Randy. That was random Randy. Oh my goodness! Like what? Huh? NASA? What? A comet strike. Trying to telegraph that you're taking a comet with you. Yeah.
That might be a little bit of a giveaway, but that's okay because it just doesn't care. It
No.
says
No.
bring it. I'm like
Right.
Morpheus. I'm like,
I like it. I like it. So
but
reinforced front armor.
but looking at this comment here, this is
Yes.
quite interesting because normally it's 298 points regular.
Huh.
It has dropped 40 points,
Wow.
and what they did was they took away. So they said historically, I read the report on this. Historically, the HE round was crap. So now they give it a 1-inch HE, and they reduce the points by 40. Which, I mean, I kind of like the ability to hit squad with a 3-inch HE. But I'll be honest, I don't know that I've ever really taken a shot. Maybe once.
Right.
It's mostly for killing tanks. So
Yes.
if I can get a 40-point discount and still have the same tank killer, I'm all for that.
Yeah. And again, looking at my favorite game, a lot of the British tanks in Squad Leader didn't even have an HE option. It's only
Right.
a. And I
Now,
didn't know.
so
Go ahead.
so what you could do here, so you just say 40 points, right?
Right.
So I'm going to bring for those 40 points, I might have to spend a little more. I'm going to bring a 25 pounder. So basically I get my HE back, but I
That's
also
right.
get a light anti-tank gun as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I get another dice in the bag. So
Wow.
yeah, I like it.
Now that's a light howitzer by definition, so it can be it's man it's man it can be manhandled.
Right. It can move. Yeah.
All
Pretty
right.
easy.
Cool. Cool.
Um, yeah. So also what they revealed on this was that the 17 pounder in all formats is going to be discounted. So your anti-tank guns, the artillery is going to get a discount.
Yeah.
The Firefly is going to get a discount. I think there's a Challenger that has this gun,
Yes.
and there's one other one of the Achilles, I think, has the 17 pounder. So they're all going to drop in cost. So there's going to be a lot of super heavy anti-tank guns that are going to be affordable now.
And
I
again, with
wouldn't even,
I
yeah,
was gonna say
losing the HE, I wouldn't even mind bringing something like an Achilles,
mhm,
and just park it in the corner and just shoot.
right. Right. Like I say, there is a shift toward people bringing some of the bigger tanks, and this
Mhm.
thing will definitely deal with them pretty well, whether it's
Oh
bigger
yeah.
bigger Soviet or bigger German tanks. Yeah. So all right.
So last weekend I played a game and a guy had a Churchill
Hmm.
10 armor tank. My Comet opened it up like a can of worms.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
Church.
mean, it's a 10 armor and it just I hit it the first time and I think I rolled a 1 on the damage roll. But I hit it the second time and boom, it was gone.
Wow.
So
Wow. Yeah. Good deal. Where'd you play last weekend?
yeah.
Where'd you play last
I
week?
had a buddy came over to the house Sunday and we
Oh,
ran. It was
excellent.
British on British
Okay.
deal. So I was
Ugh.
testing out some units.
I hate blue on blue. Makes me too
Yeah,
big.
we both had observers too.
Oh, good grief. Wow. English
So
Civil
his,
War Part
his
3.
and mine were just typically crap as always, and his came in.
We.
But
But
yeah,
you killed his Churchill.
oh yeah, I got Churchill, and I ended up winning the game. Just it was an
Nice.
objective game, and
Okay.
The Gurkhas did their Gurkha. I mean,
The
they're
Gurkha's gonna
still
Gurkha's gonna Gurk.
they are. That's what bugs me so much. It's like these are in the core book. Why are you saying we can't use them?
Oh. Well,
Um,
again, nobody's saying you can't. It's just if you're gonna use them,
oh
you got
yeah.
to give them
So honestly, to be
power.
fair, it's all talking in the people that hate Gurkhas. They're saying, "Well, Gurkhas are gone."
They're not.
You don't
No.
you're not hearing that from Warlord.
No, no, and they're not. And speaking, let me put on my big guy hat. I don't do this real often, but speaking as a tournament organizer, if you're building your list out of the rule book, then you get what's in the rule book. You get free weapons for your officers. You get the Gurkhas, but you're going to pay the higher price for the common if you want to bring it. So nothing's free, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for people to say, "Oh, the Gurkhas are going away," no. If you want to use them, you're just going to have to build out of the core book. So that's your dynamic tension there. There we go. Oh, the ruse. Oh my gosh.
The roo.
The ruse. I am
Kangaroo.
just, yeah. And that's the priest kangaroo. And
Yeah.
did you kit bash that? No, that's a
No,
resin print.
this is a print.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I got some more roos to show you.
Oh my goodness. At
Here's
53 points
your
each.
Stuart kangaroo.
Okay. And it can carry up to 4 guys. So now here's something though, and I guess the armor's good to 7+. But you know what? And I'd have to look up the points.
Oh, this is so good. The priest
think the
kangaroo is so good.
Yeah,
I just saw this.
you got the Bren carrier, which does the
Oh my
same thing.
God.
4 men,
Yeah.
yeah, down,
So
Randy.
so look at
Down.
this. May add a forward-facing light. So this is a change from. So this unit is in the core book, but it's different
Right.
because it only allows you to add a forward-facing medium machine gun for I think 10 points.
Okay.
But here it allows you a forward-facing light machine gun for 5 points, split fire, and you can add this pintle heavy machine gun that's sitting on it, which makes this thing just nasty. 8 armor, it holds a bunch of dudes. Yeah. I may
That's a
have to
nice.
print a couple more of these. This may be my transport for once the core book or the Armies of books comes out. That will be my transport for my whole army.
That's a good little. That's not a bad little IFV there. So
Three of these with Gurkhas in it, or
Oh,
whatever I want to
Lordy.
put in it.
It's gonna be Gurkhas because it's Randy, unless of course it's airborne, right? Oh my
Right.
God.
It could be airborne. Could be airborne.
Yeah, airborne. Yeah. So my
Or
favorite.
I might go SAS fanatic.
Oh Lord, yes, that'd be great, and all the little fun
Yeah.
perks. So Sherman and Ram Kangaroo. Now, see, this is the only kangaroo that I had ever heard of.
Yeah.
Again, looking at in the squad leader series in Crescendo of Doom, you got the entire British armor list for all of World War II, and I remember seeing the kangaroo, and it had the open spot where it was open top, and I'm like, what the heck? So I only ever knew about the Sherman Ram kangaroo. I didn't know about the other two, but even at that, I was like, man, why didn't they turn these things out like hotcakes? Because they're now you got a 9+ medium tank with the machine gun.
It's a little expensive though. It
Sure
is a
it
little
is.
expensive.
Yeah. This would obviously be one you'd probably now see, Randy. If I were building a kangaroo force, I think I'd build 2 of the priests and 1 of these, and my company commander would go in here.
Now he'd pretty much be unkillable then.
Right.
But
Right.
Basically though, what you could end up doing is for the points cost difference, you could throw him in a Bren and then just upgrade your company commander to veteran with a couple dudes, and you'd be at the same cost.
That's not going to help you if the Bren gets. That's not going to help you if the Bren gets hammered.
Oh yeah, because you're talking D6 hits, but they need to roll a 5 to wound instead of 3s.
Yeah, but explosions, don't they have a plus?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just straight up die roll. I mean, if you got him in this, somebody's going to target it seriously, trying to knock it out.
Well, but if they're going after that, they're not going after the comet.
Something else, yeah.
Right. And it's going to take an actual tank to knock this thing out. And again, if that tank is
or a Faust,
yeah,
Panzerfaust to do it.
Right. If they can get through the hail of fire.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. And if they're hunting this thing with a major anti-tank weapon, then what's my tank doing to them while they're chasing this? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. And again, if you got your CO in there coming to commander, at any point he can snap to and all right, everybody out. Now what you gonna do? So that's pretty cool. And then we got this all around.
Did,
What's that? What you thinking?
did you get a picture of this one?
No, no.
This is the ugliest thing on the planet.
All the British trucks are
But it
the
is
same.
cool. It is. So what you don't. This is now they call it a command vehicle, but it's not open top, so an officer can't do his snap to from inside of it. But it's a
Ah,
fully enclosed armored vehicle that holds 10 guys. So
right.
now I can push up without getting pinned. Rifle fire is not going to pin me. So if I put 10 Gurkhas in this and push up across the board with it and they shoot at it, they're going to have to hit it with something that can pin it
Right.
to put a pin on them. Otherwise, they're going to move up, they're going to jump out, and they're going to do
Right.
whatever.
Right. Well, and again, just the caveat, it is a wheeled vehicle. So it's going to be
Yeah.
restricted in what terrain it can get in and around, as opposed to like the roos, they're all tracked, and so
Yeah.
they keep
Go
rolling.
straight up. Yeah.
Right, right. I don't
It
remember
is
if
faster, though. Being wheeled,
yes, yeah,
it'd be much faster.
yeah, yeah, and cheaper. I mean, for example, the Roo is 106 points, holds 10 guys. I think it's 8 guys in the Priest. It might be 10.
It's
Um,
11.
Let me back
11.
it up.
Yeah, they're all 11.
So the Priest can hold 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could put an officer and 10 Gurkhas in it, or you could put 2 5-man Gurkha squads
Yep.
and an officer, or you can put 2 5-man submachine gun paratroopers in it and an
Hmm.
officer, which would be nasty. You jump out, you snap both squads, they jump out, and just 20 shots, boom,
Nice
they
knowing you.
eliminate whatever they hit. That'd
Yeah.
be it.
Yeah. And that's
I
where
like it.
that's eliminating the long range penalty has made so many weapons much more effective, but it's probably not many more so than like the Panzerfaust and the submachine gun, because now,
Submachine gun, absolutely.
yeah, 12 inches out, man, you're just lighting anybody
You're
up. And
hosing people down.
God help you if they're, what is it, 6 inches out? Then you're
Oh,
point blank
if you get
range
point
and
blank,
you're done.
yeah, you're hitting with almost every shot. So that's probably 16, 17 hits.
Right.
Um, and you're probably not getting cover at that point.
No.
So yeah, it's going to be bad.
All right. So hope you guys have enjoyed the talk. This has been fun. Randy and I always enjoyed. We like to talk World War II anyway. And yes, we're both, in addition to being bolt action players, we are both squad leader players too. Um,
Yep.
but man, what a great hobby! Great things coming down the pipe. So many cool things you can do with your force. Just you can make it your own. And I hope we gave you guys some ideas. Gave you kind of, again, a little bit more of a peek of what's coming out with the Armies of Britain, and that I think that change, the 17 pounder is going to be, pardon the pun, it gets used a lot, but it's going to be a game changer, because to Randy's point, if you bring a 17, you're not necessarily looking to dig infantry out of buildings. You're looking to take out enemy armor,
Yeah.
and so now you can take that 40 and put it in something else. So
I
man,
think it was pretty much absent from the game uh, before, really. I hardly
maybe,
ever saw anything with a 17 on it.
yeah,
But like the Firefly was 255. So if they give it a 40-point discount, it probably won't be quite that much. But
right,
now you're talking around 215, 220 for
right,
a 9 armor tank with a super heavy gun on it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's nice.
yes, yeah.
And I have one. I have one of those. So I actually have an Achilles too. So I took a Wolverine and put the 17-pounder gun on it, which is what they did anyway. But I have an Achilles as well. So
That's
I'm
pretty
all
darn
set for
cool.
British. Yeah,
I like it. I like it. Okay, so what do you have? You got a German army, a British army, and an
and
American army.
Americans.
You can
Yeah,
field. you can field tournament capable forces in all three. Which, speaking of tournaments, we do have
Yeah.
ours coming up on the 28th of June.
Yeah.
I'll put a link to that in the comment section below. We have, I want to say, on Facebook, I've got like 8 people, eight or 10 people that have selected that they're coming. I've actually had 2 people pay, so I know they're coming. And I have another person who has sent me their army list, although they're not paid yet. So it is filling up. I know Randy, either Randy or I or both are happy if you're new. Our tournaments are rather newbie friendly, and if you need to borrow an army, one of us can certainly spot you on that. So just let us know. Let us know early so that
Yep.
we can build
See
the
all
army.
those boxes back there, full of just 5,000-6,000 points per force. So if you need something, I've probably got it. If you want to
Fantastic.
try something, yeah,
I like
you're
that, and
welcome to
thank
borrow
you.
it.
Yeah, not to put either of us on the spot there, but I do know that's. I was telling somebody the other day. It's one of the things we do in our tournaments is we will lend an army to somebody, and it is not uncommon for us to have new players show up, and
Yeah.
we always make sure we pair them with the most aggressive, brutal players so they get the full experience. No, just kidding. No,
Uh,
we want folks to first and foremost have a good time. So great.
yeah.
Well, that's it for me. Randy, you got anything else for the folks before we wrap?
No.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, again, I hope this has been worth your time. If you stayed with us, I hope you found it valuable. I would ask you to click the like button, share this with your friends, share it with your enemies. Just share it. Help us recruit more people. And this is thirsty business. I actually had to take a break halfway through and get some water. So, yeah, if you want, you can buy us a cup of coffee on Ko-Fi or Patreon. $5, $5 a month helps support the channel. Best way to support the channel: go to Gator Games and Books, buy some merchandise. If I don't have it in stock, if Warlord or Wargames Atlantic or Firelock has it, I can get it and get it pretty quickly. So, thank you for your time, and that's it from now. Thanks for watching.
Good night, everybody.